In today's video, you'll get the answers to these 6 questions. What is OCD? What are obsessions and what are examples of them? What are compulsions and what are examples of compulsions? And finally, what does a diagnosis of OCD require? Let's get started. What is OCD? Obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, is a common mental health condition where a person has obsessive thoughts and compulsive behaviors. OCD can affect men, women, and children. Some people start having symptoms early, often around puberty, but it usually starts during early adulthood. What are obsessions? Obsessions are intrusive thoughts, images, or impulses that occur over and over again, and we can't control them. I have OCD, and everyone who has OCD, or I should say it like this, no one who has OCD wants to think these thoughts. Everyone finds these thoughts disturbing, to say the least. We don't think the intrusive thoughts because we enjoy them, but because we can't quit. And if we stop thinking the intrusive thoughts, we feel so bad, we start again. Most of us with OCD, most of us who have OCD know that the intrusive thoughts and habits don't make any sense. Moreover, obsessions are typically accompanied by intense and uncomfortable feelings such as fear, disgust, doubt, or a feeling that things have to be done in a way that is just right. In the context of OCD, obsessions are time-consuming and get in the way of important activities we value. This last part is imperative to keep in mind, as it, in part, determines whether someone has OCD, a psychological disorder, rather than an obsessive personality trait. Because even if the content of the obsession is more serious, for example, everyone might have had a thought from time to time about getting sick, or worrying about a loved one's safety, or wondering if a mistake they made might be catastrophic in some way, that doesn't mean these obsessions are necessarily symptoms of OCD. While these thoughts look the same as what we'd see in OCD, someone without OCD may have these thoughts, be momentarily concerned, and then move on. In fact, research has shown that most people have unwanted intrusive thoughts from time to time, but in the context of OCD, these intrusive thoughts come frequently and trigger extreme anxiety that gets in the way of day-to-day functioning. What are examples of obsessions? Here are 3 examples of obsessions. You can have excessive concerns about things which happened in the past and what impacts they may have had. You can have a fear of catching personality traits or personal characteristics of other individuals. Or you can have an excessive concern with your sexual orientation and/or gender identity. What are compulsions? Compulsions are the second part of OCD. These are repetitive actions or thoughts that we who have OCD use to neutralize, counteract, or make the obsessions go away. To me, compulsions are repetitive actions I do to get rid of the obsessions. I and everyone else with OCD realize, however, that these are only temporary solutions, but without a better way to cope, we rely on the compulsion as a temporary escape. Compulsions can also include avoiding situations we know will trigger obsessions. Compulsions are time-consuming and get in the way of important activities we value. Similar to obsessions though, not all repetitive behaviors or rituals are compulsions. We have to look at the function and the context of the behavior. For example, Bedtime routines, religious practices, and learning a new skill all involve some level of repeating an activity over and over again, but are usually a positive and functional part of daily life. Behaviors depend on the context. Arranging and ordering books for 8 hours a day isn't a compulsion if you work in a library. Similarly, you may have compulsive behaviors that wouldn't fall under OCD if you're just a stickler for details or like to have things neatly arranged. In this case, compulsive refers to a personality trait or something about yourself that you actually prefer or like. In most cases, we who have OCD feel forced to engage in compulsive behavior and would rather not have to do these time-consuming and many times torturous acts. In OCD, compulsive behavior is done with the intention of trying to escape or reduce anxiety or the presence of obsessions. And that's the difference. That's the difference between regular compulsions and compulsions you have when you have OCD. What are examples of compulsions? An example of compulsion could be that you wash your hands excessively or in a certain way. Or that you, like I did, keep checking if you put something in a certain place. Or that you reread or rewrite a school assignment, essay, or another piece of writing. I did that in college, and it made me dread exams because I knew there wouldn't be time to reread all I'd written. Before I move on, I also want to tell you that the types of obsessions and compulsions we with OCD experience can change over time. Something I've definitely experienced is that symptoms generally worsen when I experience greater stress. OCD, which is usually considered a lifelong disorder, can have mild, moderate symptoms like the ones I have now, or be so severe and time-consuming that it becomes disabling. That's what I had when I had that great fear of flying. What does a diagnosis of OCD require? A diagnosis of OCD requires the presence of obsessions and or compulsions that are time-consuming. That means that they take more than 1 hour a day and that they cause significant distress and impair work or social functioning. So we who have OCD have thoughts or actions which take up at least 1 hour a day. These actions are beyond our control, aren't enjoyable, and they interfere with our work, social life, and or other parts of our lives. Finally, OCD affects 2 to 3% of people in the United States, and among adults, slightly more women than men are affected. This information came from these websites. You'll find these links below this video. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel, and watch this series from the start. In 2 weeks, I'll be back with a new video in this series on intellectual giftedness. Till then, I only want to say 3 things. Thank you for watching. Take care, and bye for now.